At this time, I'd like to call to order the regular scheduled meeting of the Davie County Board of Education. If you would, first up is the adoption of our agenda. I'll ask for a motion to adopt the agenda. Got a motion by Mr. Drexler, got a second by Mr. Hales. All in favor? Motion carries 6-0. Next up, we're moving on to a closed session section of our meeting, and I will ask for a motion to go into closed session to preserve the attorney-client privilege pursuant to the North Carolina General Statutes listed on our agenda, to discuss personnel matters protected by state law, and to discuss student matters made confidential by general statutes and FERPA. Do we have a motion? We have a motion by Ms. Owens. We have a second by Mr. Potts. All in favor? Motion carries 6-0. We're in closed session. Welcome. At this time, I'd like to reconvene the December 5th, 2017 regular scheduled board meeting of the Davie County Board of Education. And the first up, I will have an invocation. Heavenly Father, we come to you today asking for your guidance, wisdom, and support as we begin this meeting. Help us to engage in meaningful discussion, allow us to grow closer as a group, and nurture the bonds of community. Fill us with your grace as we make decisions that will affect our great county. And continue to remind us that all that we do here today, all that we accomplish, is for the pursuit of truth for the greater glory of you and for the service of humanity. We ask these things in your name. Amen. If you would, please stand with me as we have our pledge. Excuse me, I didn't have my mic on. At this time, I would ask for a motion to approve minutes from our last regular scheduled meeting of November the 7th. We have a motion by Ms. Owens. We have a second by Mr. Hales. All in favor? Motion carries 6-0. At this time, I'll turn it over to Ms. Wilson.
Here we are in December again. This is the annual organizational meeting of the Davie County Board of Education. I realize it moved from where it used to be, but nonetheless, our annual organizational meeting from here forward. And as a result of that, it is time to elect a chair. And I will open the floor at this time for nominations for the position of chair.
I would like to take an honor and a privilege to nominate Clint Junker as our chair.
All right, there's a nomination for Mr. Junker. Are there other nominations? Hearing none, I believe the nominations are closed. All those in favor of Mr. Junker as chair, please raise your hand. And I believe that passes unanimously, and my job is completed. You may run the rest of the meeting.
That was 5-1, Joe. If you didn't hear that, that was former Chairman Fuller going, whew. I would be remiss if I did not say something about Chad Fuller. Just enjoy the ride for the rest of the way. He has served this board in this county for many years, role of leadership, and very few know the hours and the amount of time that he has put in. for this county and for this school system. So thank you for that. And he's responsible for me being in this position, so thank you for that as well, I guess. At this point, we need to nominate and elect a vice chair. I would entertain a motion for vice chair nomination.
I make a motion that we elect Ms. Horn as vice chair. And full disclosure, she's had an issue, couldn't be with us tonight, but I have to talk to her, and she's willing to serve, just so the rest of the board.
Okay. Do I have a second? I have a second from Mr. Hills. Any other nominations? Do I need a second for that?
No,
Sorry.
if that's okay, that's nice. I don't have too many.
Any other nominations? All right. At this point, I will close the nominations. All those in favor? Passes 6-0.
Very good.
Awesome. All right. Next is important dates. We have a few coming up that I will read over. December 8th, we have a couple going to the PTEC celebration at UNCG. December 8th, and then we have several DARE graduations coming up. On the 11th at Shady Grove, the 12th at Pine Brook, and the 14th at William R. Davie. And also on the December 11th, we have the Davie County School drop-in holiday social at the Manor House. And then we have some dates in January, but it's hard to believe that we're at the end of another year, which is amazing. Moving on, we'll move on to the superintendent's report, and I'll turn it over to Dr. Hartness.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and congratulations, Mr. Chairman. I look forward to working with you, Mr. Junker. The years that we've served together, really appreciate all your support. And I, too, would like to thank Chad Fuller for the many hours that he has spent as the chairman of this school board. And you all would not realize the number of hours and the time that he's put in, especially with the construction of our new high school. He has been an invaluable resource for me as your superintendent with his background in construction. And we would not be on budget and on time and in the school that we're so proud of if it had not been for Mr. Chad Fuller. So, Chad, we really appreciate that. And I would also say happy birthday, Mr. Fuller, who is a lot younger than I am, I will add. On a very different note, unfortunately, this past month, we lost a student in our school family. And I would ask if you would please join me in a moment of silence for Maya Tarbett, who was an 8th grade student at William Ellis Middle School who recently passed. Thank you. I want to thank Maya's school family and Principal Lee Walters and all of our counselors and all those who supported each other and our student body during this tragic loss. On a very happy note, there's a new young lady sitting beside me tonight, Miss Elle King. I'd like to welcome Elle as our new executive assistant to the superintendent and to the Board of Education. Elle brings a rich background in education, and we are really delighted to have her as part of our team. So welcome, Elle, to your first board meeting, one of many in the future. I wanted to update the Board of Education on a couple things. The first, I'll update you on the demolition at the old high school site. If I could get the technology department to pull up a slide. Our contractor is doing the final grading and will be seeding the site, and we hope to wrap that up within the next week or so. All the demolition of the buildings that were part of our project is complete, and the removal of the debris is complete. I took this picture about 7:30 this morning, standing at the back corner of what will used to be the bus parking lot. So if you notice the K building on the right, that's the building that the Board of Education plans to retain and will become eventually our Board of Education offices and a professional development center for our teachers in the future. So that's the building closest to Highway 601. In the distance, you'll see the main gym, which you would not been able to see in the past because there would be buildings in front of us or between the angle of this photo and the main gym, the small gym to the left, and the stadium in the background. So all of those oldest buildings that were on campus and the road that went behind the campus have all been removed, and that site is being graded for final grade and will be seeded for stability. So we're glad to be wrapping that up. In fact, the contractor is about a month ahead of schedule. Give you an update from the Board of Commissioners meeting last evening. I attended that meeting. The Board of Commissioners approved the master conceptual plan for the new park that will go on the site that you just saw a picture of on the Salisbury Road site. They approved a budget amendment to use all of the $5 million recreation bond that was approved in 2014 for the first phase of that new park. And they approved a contract with McAdams Architectural Firm and authorized the county manager to enter into a contract for park consulting services. The county will be bidding out services for the demo of B building and the cafeteria to make way for that new park. So there's going to be some more demolition at that site in the near future. That is scheduled to begin hopefully sometime in February, and the park construction is scheduled to begin in the summer of 2018. I encourage everyone to go to the County of Davies website and see the conceptual drawings of the new park that will be in place of our previous high school. I really feel like it'll be a wonderful addition to Davie County. The Board of Commissioners also had their organizational meeting last night, and Board of Education, the chairman of the county commission was elected Mr. Terry Reniger, and the vice chair, Mr. John Ferguson. So that was approved last night as well. Back to business here, the Board of Education. On behalf of the staff of Davie County Schools, I want to thank the Board of Education for the decision you made at our previous meeting to award a 1% bonus to our employees, all of our employees. You recognize the value of everyone working together as a team, and I've heard a lot of very positive comments and thank yous from our staff. I just wanted to say publicly how much that means to our employees that you made that decision. So thank you. Those bonuses will be awarded during the month of December. Also want to thank those of you who joined us at lunch at Davie County High School this past month, and to Dub and Terry, Paul, and Barbara for the time that you spent at the North Carolina School Boards Association's annual conference. I hope you found that to be beneficial. And I will end wishing everyone a wonderful Christmas season, and we will see you again next year.
Thank you, Dr. Hartness. Next up, we have recognitions, and I'll invite Melissa Lynch up first to present the 2017 Ed Rucker Encore Award.
I've already. Members of our community. An award recently received by Mr. McCrary. He's recently been awarded the Ed Rucker Encore Award. And to share a little with you about this award, let me start by saying that these awards are recognitions sponsored and presented by the North Carolina chapter of the American School Band Directors Association. They are presented to outstanding band directors with between 2 and 7 years of experience in the profession. The purpose of this award is to honor the achievements and service of these new band directors and to promote the American School Band Directors Association mission of fostering rising talent in the music education profession. It's important to note, I think, that winners of this award are nominated by their peers, and they are voted on by chapter members annually each spring. Candidates for this award must distinguish themselves as a teacher of quality and potential, demonstrate professionalism in working with fellow directors, participate in band functions at both the district and state levels, and volunteer their time and service within their county or district. So as you can see, this is a very prestigious award, one that both South Davie and Davie County Schools can be proud to employ the recipient of. So please join me in congratulating Mr. McCrary on this fine achievement.
Congratulations. Next up, we have Doyle Nicholson to present to the Davie County High School Marching Band.
It is my pleasure to recognize the Davie High Marching Band and Dancing Boots for their performance at the McDonald's Thanksgiving Day Parade in Chicago. There were only 25 bands across the nation that were invited to apply to be a part of this program. And of those, Davie was one of 10 bands that were actually selected. I think we actually have a video clip, so I will let the video do most of the talking.
Playing for us now, the Davie County High School War Eagle Regiment from Mocksville, North Carolina. That is about an hour northeast of Charlotte. We have 140 members under the direction, Mr. Andrew Jimison. Welcome our friends from North Carolina visiting Chicago. It's Thanksgiving.
So neat to see all the talent from across the country right here in Chicago. And we will have so much more from McDonald's Thanksgiving Parade coming up in just a moment.
And I would like to thank Andrew Jimison and Lori Crump for being willing to take 100 students to Chicago on a 14-hour bus ride. So they survived. And so I'm going to bring them up and let them introduce the members they have with them tonight.
Just want to introduce our 3 drum majors that are in charge of the marching band, Bianca Flores, Paige Carter, and Shelby Williford. And then also our band business managers. We have a student leadership program. Our band business managers with us tonight, Ms. Hannah Basinger. So there we are.
I just want to also commend the band, not only for their performance, but from what I hear, they were the best mannered, well-behaved, and organized group that was there. I just want to say thank you for representing our county so well.
Absolutely. Congratulations. Next up, we have the Holiday Card Art Contest winners. Dr. Hartness.
Before I do the holiday cards, I would echo Ms. Owens' comments. I've heard from people in the community and some of those who chaperoned this trip that in a hotel with over 1,000 band members from across the country, you all set yourself apart, and that makes me really proud. So thank you for representing Davie County and Davie County High School so well. Tonight, it's my pleasure to present the Holiday Card Contest winners. This is such a bright spot in the work that we do in our office every year because the nominees come into our office and everyone in the office gets to vote for their favorite Christmas cards. And it just really brings a bright cheer and sets the mood for the season in our office. So tonight I have the pleasure of recognizing our school level winners and our district level winners. And students, as I call your name, if you would come forward and stand across the front, then we're going to show everyone your card that they saw, hopefully, as they came in the door this afternoon. Our school level winners, beginning with Coolamy Elementary School, Isabel Branham. Congratulations, Isabel. Carnatzer Elementary School, Lana Robinson. All right. From Mocksville Elementary School, Bryce Gregory. Pine Brook Elementary School, Ellie Addison. Shady Grove Elementary School, Bailey Adderholt. William R. Davey Middle Elementary School, Adrian Long. From Central Davey Academy, Trey Bruce. North Davey Middle School, Audrey Miller. South Davey Middle School, Whitney Deloach. William Ellis Middle School, Emma Hayes. Davie County Early College High School, Victoria Bailey. We had 2 students this year collaborate on the Davie County High School card, Sarah Bracken and Hannah Hutchins. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we'll now present to you their cards in video format. So students, as you see your card come up on the screen, if you'll step forward so people will recognize that card with your work.
Christmas is here, bringing its cheer to young and old, meek and the bold. Ding dong, ding dong, that is the song. Ring, joyful ring, all caroling. One seems to hear words of good cheer from everywhere, filling the air. Oh, how they found, raising the sound, o'er hill and dale, telling a tale. Gaily they ring while people sing songs of good cheer. Christmas is here. Ding, merry, merry, merry Christmas. Ding, merry, merry, merry Christmas. Dawn of this and dawn of that. Ding, jingles home to every home. Hark how the bells sing, silver bells, all to sing, all present. Christmas is here, bringing its cheer to young and old, meek and the bold. Ding dong, that is the song. Ding dong, ring, all caroling. One seems to hear words of good cheer from everywhere, filling the air. Oh, how they pound, raising the sound, o'er hill and dale, telling a tale. Gaily they ring while people sing songs of good cheer. Christmas is here. Ding, merry, merry, merry Christmas. Ding, merry, merry, merry Christmas. Dawn of this and dawn of that. Ding, all they sing, all without end, their joyful tones to every home. Ding dong, ding dong. Jingle, 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 all the hay, dashing through the snow in a one-horse open sleigh. O'er the fields we go, laughing all the way. Bells on bobtail ring, and making spirits bright. What fun it is to ride and sing the sleighing song tonight. Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Jingle, jingle, jingle bells. Jingle, 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 jingle bells.
Congratulations, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you to the Davie High School Madrigal Singers for the background music for that video. At this point in time, I now get to recognize the winners in elementary school, and that will be the first one we'll recognize, and I want to congratulate from William R. Davey Elementary School, Adrian Long. You can stay there. Our middle school winner, South Davey Middle School, Whitney Deloach. And our high school winner, from Davie Early College High School, Victoria Bailey. So Those students who won in their level received a gift card, and the students, you will also receive a copy of the district card with your artwork on it. And it will feature our overall winner from the Early College High School, Victoria Bailey, and it looks like this. And all of our students' work is on the back. So thank you all for representing Davie County Schools so well, and your artwork is displayed on a card that will go across the state to different people. We're so proud of you and congratulate you. Hope that you have a wonderful Christmas season with your families. Thanks for all your hard work. And as you leave, if you would pick up your work over here as well as a certificate. Thank you.
That's right. Congratulations again. As they are clearing out, we will move on to our consent agenda and ask for a motion to approve our consent. Oh, sorry. Before we do that, Mr. Wallace.
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, thank you. At this time, I would like to recognize a young man that will be replacing Mr. Todd Naylor, who will be, is an amendment to your personnel report there. You have a copy of that, and Mr. Todd Naylor will be retiring, leaving us after 30-plus years of experience and work with us. But of course, we have to replace Todd. And after interviews and decisions have been made, I'd like to recognize our new Director of Transportation, Mr. Jeremy Miller. Mr. Miller, would you please take a stand? Jeremy's been with us for almost 15 years, and he has started out in the current one position and made his way to a lead mechanic in 2011. Jeremy has his beautiful little daughter with us. Macy, can you wave? There we go. She was all smiles. There's another very familiar face sitting next to Macy that most of us in this room know, and that's Miss Judy Kornauer. And Judy, welcome. I know you're proud and should be. Jeremy has, again, earned multiple certificates relevant to this position, and he is a North Carolina school bus inspector, certified North Carolina school bus inspector, North Carolina motor vehicle inspector, along with a lot of other certifications that's required for this position. As this position and Todd was retiring, we received phone calls or emails on behalf of Jeremy from across the district of various people he worked with. His most recent assignment has been working, again, with the bus inspections that you're all well aware that how we continuously or consistently rank in the top and across the state. And he also works closely with assistant principals and school bus routes as well. And that's what he's been doing for the past few years. And Jeremy's wife, I think, could not be with us tonight. Her name is Christy, and I think she's a little bit under the weather. But we're sure proud of Jeremy, and Jeremy and his family attend Redland Pentecostal Holiness Church, and Jeremy is a part of the executive council board there. And Jeremy told me where he lives. I think he said Clarksville. Is that right? But he said really Turkey Foot. I said, well, let's just say Turkey Foot because we all can relate. So we're very proud of Jeremy, what he's done for this district the past 15 years. And Jeremy will be taking over this assignment officially on March the 1st. And Jeremy, welcome and congratulations. We're very proud of you. Yes, sir.
I'll say congratulations to you as well. Congratulations to Todd as well. I think it's a big testimony to a good leader. It's when they have good people behind them that can step in. So congratulations to both of you. With that amendment, I'll ask for a motion on the consent agenda. I have a motion by Mr. Fuller. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Potts. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries 6-0. Next item we have on the agenda is the business item, the CTE Business Advisory STEM Alliance, and I have Ms. McNeil.
Good evening, Chairman Junker, members of the board, Dr. Hartness. Tonight I am here to address a local policy which is in your packet tonight, policy number 2670. Policy 2670 correlates to a new legislation that was passed by our General Assembly this past summer, House Bill 450, Statute 115C 170. This new statute focuses on requirements of a business advisory council, specifically the CTE Business Advisory. Davie County CTE Business Advisory, along with the STEM Alliance, has been meeting regularly. And in the last year, we have combined these two groups since they do have similar goals and they target a similar business community. So we have been combining these two. This new legislation is the General Assembly's way of simply formalizing the structure and the guidelines of the Business Advisory Council. The membership and the guidelines that are recommended by this legislation mirror what we are already doing with the CTE Business Advisory and the STEM Alliance. This particular policy that we are looking at tonight designates that the Business Advisory Council will have at least 9 members. 4 of those members will be from the education community, including the superintendent, designee of the local community college, the CTE director, and the principal of the high school. And they will be ex officio members of this committee, as stated in this new legislation. The majority of the members of our council must be made up of members of the business, industry, workforce development, community members, and parents. The policy directly directs the Board of Education to make the initial appointments for terms beginning effective January 1st of 2018. Tonight, I am requesting that you approve policy 2670 as it appears in your board packet, and that the following business, industry, workforce development, and parent representatives be appointed as the initial members of this Business Advisory Council. The council will then appoint subsequent members as vacancies occur. We did contact the following members of our advisory council and ask if they would serve on this new committee or council. Terry Brawley, representing our economic development in the county. Brad Teague, representing Ashley Furniture, who is also a parent of our STEM and CTE student. Brad Chapman, representing Davie Construction, again is a parent in our organization. Hannah O'Brien, representing Wake Forest Med and Davie Medical Center. Dean Hines, representing Flow Automotive, who's also a parent of former students in our CTE program. And Jonathan Kane, representing CommScope, and who is also a parent. At the next CTE STEM Business Advisory, then we would adopt bylaws and establish the terms. So tonight, I need you first to approve the policy, and then to make this initial appointment.
Any questions? Thank you. Is that 2 separate? We're doing it as 2 separate?
I think it is. I think it's two separate.
I'm gonna put it together and approve the list. That's your motion. I have a motion by Mr. Potts.
Okay.
Do I have a second? I have a second by Mr. Hales. Any discussion? I would just say it's great to have community leaders willing to participate. So it's incredible. So, all right, all those in favor? Motion carries 6-0. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Ms. McNeil, I'm sure that this process and paperwork that you've put together here and getting these folks communicated with, that they agreed to take this, I'm sure that didn't just happen overnight. So I'd like to thank you and whomever else you had working on it to get it to this point. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Drexler. Next item on the agenda is a public address to the board.
And board members, in the spirit of the holiday season, no one wants to address you other than to wish you good cheer and Happy New Year.
That was very nice of him to do that.
It was overwhelming.
Good. Good. Unanimous. Next, I'll turn it over to Ms. Miller for Davie County High School construction budget update.
Thank you, Chairman Junker, members of the board, Dr. Hartness. You have in your board packet this evening the latest update of the bond expenses for our new high school. And when I last reported in September, we were at 91% of expenses paid, and today we are at 97%. We have $2.1 million of that budget remaining for expenses. We continue to receive final pay applications from our contractors and paying those, and also paying expenses for the demolition of the former Davie County High School. And our next update is scheduled for your March meeting. If you had any questions at this time regarding the update, to date, we've expensed $61.2 million of the $60.3 million budget.
I've got a question. With regard to the demolition, which in my category I just put as the last possible thing, but is there a projected date that might happen for planning purposes? When the demolition will be through?
The demolition was scheduled to be finished by January 15th, but they're going to be finished within the next week or two.
This is a finance report, but it should go to you or Mr. Wallace. The current planned demolition of B building and the cafeteria, the reason that that was not initially done with the other demolition, can you confirm what I think we know to be correct?
Yes, the demolition plan that the Board of Education was responsible for was based on the ideas and concepts that were developed when we were first developing the plan for a repurposing of the site, knowing that the final plan would be approved by the Board of Commissioners. So when we estimated the cost of demoing the oldest buildings, we had never considered demoing B building or the cafeteria because the discussions had been in the past making use of those buildings. As the county got into their planning, they determined that they did not have a use for those buildings and they would be better utilized being demoed and placing activities in those areas for the new park. So that's why it's just within the last few months that there's ever been discussion about demoing those two buildings. So what we were under contract for was always what had been planned to be demoed.
All right. Next on our report is the legendary school calendar. Mr. Wallace.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Board, as indicated there, and you see in your packet, 2 different options that was prepared by staff, administration, parents, and worked the 2 dates there that are mentioned. There are some differences this year. Typically, as we've talked before in the past, that there are limited differences, but one notable one is the time frame for spring break is different, pretty significantly different in each calendar. And as As you can see, I'll address any questions that you have about any of those if you'd like. But we will present those to the staff and have them to vote on those on December 6th. And I'll be glad to take any questions if there are any.
That also is not something that just happens overnight. All the finagling and there's rules and regs that you have to follow, but then you have a lot of people that have input on, so getting it down to just 2 was a big step. Thank you for the work you put in that.
Thank you, Mr. Dressler. And I'll have to commend the staff and principals and teachers, and, I mean, we actually came to the table the second date with about 5 or 6 options, and the way we worked and through those, we ended up with these 2. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Dr. Hartness, policy updates.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As been practice, we have a series of policy updates for your review this next month. These are policy recommendations through our Policy and Legal Services subscription through the North Carolina School Boards Association. You have attached in your executive content a number of policies that I'd ask you to review, and if you have questions or about any of those policies, feel free to contact me during the next month, but we will bring those to you in the month of January for your consideration of approval.
Thank you very much. And the last item is adjournment. Before we do, I'd ask if there's any closing comments that the board would like to make.
I just want to say a big thank you to Chad. I can remember back when he was a young man and came on this board. And the thing I want to say to him is I appreciate how much you have really grown up as a community leader over the last 10 years. I mean, it's, from an outsider looking in, it's wonderful, and you've just done a super, super job, and it's been a pleasure to serve with you for this year.
And I, of course, would like to add, I'm glad to see that gray hair. That's a sign of maturity. You're not there yet, but you're getting there. And to Clint, welcome to the range, man. There you go. I understand. Thank you.
I would just say thanks for all the kind words. It was honor to serve as a chair. It was. And again, I appreciate all the kind words. I do. I did my little part. Takes a lot of people to make Davie County Schools work successfully, and I appreciate everything that everybody does. But I thank Mr. Junker for accepting the job as chair, and Ms. Horn for accepting the vice chair. She may be surprised next month when she gets, no. No, she did agree to do it, but I appreciate that, and I would just like to say thanks for everybody coming out tonight.
All right. Entertain a motion to adjourn. Have a motion. Need a second? A second, Mr. Fuller. All those in favor say Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you very much.